Thanks so much for tuning in to CHURCHGIRL.com. We've got a fun conversation today about becoming a mom. And I have some very special guests with me. These girls have just had babies in the last 6 weeks, in the last 6 months. And they are brand new moms. So we just need to clap for you. I'm gonna clap for you. You gotta give it up for yourself.
I'm clap for you.
I'm clap for me. Yeah.
You're doing it. And we're gonna talk a little bit about that transition. And actually, this is one of my favorite topics to talk about because I think there's so much to it. And it's like an identity change.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? And so like there was a time when you were like, yeah, like I'm me.
Right.
And I'm just me. And now you're like, now I'm a mom. And I will never not be a mom.
Yeah.
Ever again.
Ever again.
Right? And so it really shifts things.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, why don't you tell us how it's going, where you are, what's going on right now?
So my son Langston, even saying my son is wild.
Crazy.
Because like you think about having a baby, but then it's like a son.
Right.
It's like a daughter.
yours.
It's a person, you know, the fact that
Yes.
he's a whole person with a
Yeah.
future and that's
Yeah.
going to affect the lives of others is just
Yeah.
mind-blowing to me. He was turned 5 weeks yesterday at the time of filming this, and so he's brand new. He's like turned my whole world upside down, but in
Yeah.
the best ways. And it's just right now I feel like I'm learning who he is. I'm learning who Kindra the mom is. I'm learning who Jamel the husband, the father is. I know Jamel the husband,
Yeah.
but now I'm learning Jamel the father and learning how to parent together. Everything is new. Learning how to get ready in the morning
Oh my
again.
goodness.
Learning how to brush my
Yeah.
teeth.
Come on.
Like every time he is asleep, I'm like, okay, do I brush my teeth? Do I take a shower? Do I eat?
Yeah.
Do I send an email? Like
Laundry.
do I do laundry?
Oh,
Every
right.
moment is so crucial, and I
Yeah.
think that now I have a larger respect for time. I have more respect for my body and what it can do for me, and not just the times where I look back of being harsh on my body.
Yeah.
I'm like, girl, you had it going on, you know? And I'm sure I'll look at myself in 10 years and be like,
Yeah.
girl, you had it going on. So I'm like, let me
Yeah.
appreciate my body.
Yeah.
Let me
Right.
appreciate
I
my
love that.
time, and let me appreciate my village,
Yeah.
my husband, my friends, my family, the people that show up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Community has been totally redefined for me
Yes.
in this season. So everything is new.
Yeah.
Because, for me, I had Layla. She's 5 months old. She's gonna be 6 months old
Wow.
this month on the 11th. I know time just passes by so fast, and I think like you, I've learned how to appreciate time in just like an immeasurable way. Like it's so crazy to me, just like you again, that it's like she's my whole responsibility, and I think right now what I'm learning is to give up control because
Yeah.
I was always so used to being in control about everything, like down to what my day was gonna look like. And it's like, I don't know why I even try at this point. Like I'm sure it'll get better as time goes on. But right now that's where I am in my journey, I guess, is with just give up the control, girl, because it's probably not gonna go the way you want it to go. Whatever
Right.
you planned is probably not going to
Yeah.
happen. So just, give it up, take it easy, and most importantly is learning how to give myself grace
Yeah.
when it doesn't go my way.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, I feel like parenting, especially those first couple of weeks and months, are like a crash course in, okay, do you really trust God?
Oh yeah.
Right? Because like you trusted God before,
Right.
right? But then it's this daily dependence and daily surrender
Yeah.
to your own wants and desires, even your needs,
Oh.
like it's just a beautiful picture of what that self-sacrificing love looks like is
Yes.
caring for a baby who has no regard for your time,
Yeah.
your body, your sleep, any of that. So I think it's a fun journey.
Yeah.
I am pregnant with my 4th baby.
Yay.
Isn't that shocking? I really think it's shocking. I'm sitting here with both of you, like with the one, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is my 4th. So 6 years now that I've been a mom, and it's like yesterday that I brought my firstborn home from the
Wow.
hospital. And I remember those days of just being like, whoa,
Yeah.
this responsibility is huge.
It's so
right?
hard,
And I remember a specific moment for me when my mom left, thinking, oh my goodness,
No, no.
who's going to take care of me?
That.
Right? Because you're the child.
Um,
And then all of a sudden, you're not the child anymore. You're
Yeah.
caring for a child.
Yeah.
And it was a very, like, I felt the weight of it almost immediately as she left. And I remember the Lord speaking to me, like, Kristen, like, I created you. You've got this. Trust me.
Yeah.
You know? Talk a little bit about those moments for you, maybe of kind of realizing, okay, this is a whole new identity, a whole new life, or just like trusting God in this new season.
Yeah, for me, that kind of is very recent actually, because I feel like as she gets older, you're always learning new things as they pass on to a new phase. So for me, it's just feeling like I've been dropping the ball in a lot of areas lately where I have to cancel last minute because something happened, and are these people going to understand, like why I didn't show up today, and just feeling that guilt and being able to get home at the end of the day and just talk to God, and for him to just tell me, like, I love you and I gave you grace, right? And so you don't have to feel bad about that because you're just at this new stage in life and
Yeah.
you're going to learn. And so for me, it's been a big challenge. Is finding time to even, ask God, like, how do I maneuver this
It's great.
new thing? It's like I always had the time to do that before Layla.
Yeah.
And now it's just so challenging to even remember, to talk to God and ask him, how do I handle the situation?
It's really good.
It's just, you kind of feel defeated at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I felt like a bad Christian, and I just felt like a bad daughter,
Wow.
to my father. And,
Wow.
a lot of that had to do with, am I even going to be able to show up to church to serve? And
Right.
a lot of the times right now it's been no, she's either sick or something happens, or, I drive in the city. If you drive in the city, that's a challenge in itself. But I'm like, I get to the car, I have her in the stroller, I'm by myself, and I have a pop tire. Like, I can't make it. It's just so much. And it's just been so hard for me to be able to allow myself to rely on God.
Yeah.
Mostly because I feel like I can't rely on myself. And again, it comes with like that control thing. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, if I can't rely on myself, I can't rely on God. I can't rely on anybody. I feel so defeated,
Yeah.
at this point in motherhood. But I'm really just learning. And I think that this past week has really been a hard one for me personally, with the baby. And my husband, we had a really hard day. And I wasn't even able to cook dinner.
Yeah.
And God bless my husband. He comes up to me and he's like, I'm like, I can't cook dinner. I feel like I'm so busy being a mom all day. I dropped the ball being a wife, and that's a hard place to be at. And my husband just looks at me and he's like, we'll have pizza tonight.
The
He's like,
best.
we'll be okay.
The
Like,
answer to everything.
to everything
We'll
is
have
pizza.
pizza.
It's pizza. And it's just
Yeah.
been, I can see and feel so much of
Yeah.
what I've been missing in my relationship with God in
Yeah.
this season through my husband.
Very good.
Yeah. it's
Yeah,
been so
I want to like go on that theme a little
Yeah.
bit. Kendra, and I want you to speak to this of like that quiet time and that devotional time and serving God. It really does change.
Yeah.
It takes on a new form when you become a mom. So let's talk about that, because I think a lot of moms would say, "Oh my goodness, Yuli, like you are me." We're like they're feeling like they're in the same place you are,
Yes.
feeling shame or discouragement about those quiet times. Like. How would we encourage them, and share our struggles with them a little bit?
I'm laughing because I'm thinking about my prayer journal. I got a new prayer journal. I'm like, this is my mom prayer journal. This is where I'm going to write all of my mom prayers in. Right now, it says like, Dear God. That's the only thing that has been written in it, because I wrote Dear God down
feel
and
that.
then the baby woke up.
I
And I
feel
was
that.
just like, okay. And so then I realized actually recently that maybe this isn't my journal season.
No,
Maybe
no,
this isn't the time where I'm going to be journaling. That's how I used to feel like I connected with God and wrote down my prayers. And
Yeah.
so maybe that's not the season. Maybe I am in a shower prayer season.
Yes.
And so now I'm like, okay, I'm going to pray in the shower. I'm going to listen to worship music while I'm nursing him.
Yeah.
I've had such an amazing community of people praying for me. And, I believe that those prayers have been able to stand in the gap
Yeah.
for me
Yeah.
on the days that I wasn't, praying and interceding for myself. And I had this amazing, one of my mom's friends is in Ghana, and she sent a voice recording of a prayer for Langston. And so sometimes, even this morning, I'm nursing him, and I just pray. I press play and pray the recorded prayer for
Wow.
Langston that I have. And so I know that I have a community of people that are praying with me, and that even if it's just a thank you, God,
Right.
or if it's thank you for waking me up this morning, or whatever it is, I know that I'm still making those small times for connection. And I also have had to trust God more than ever.
Yeah.
Especially when you talk about being defeated, that night where you feel like you didn't sleep at all,
Oh.
and then it's 8 a.m. and you're like, the night is officially over. I officially failed at trying to sleep. And that is where I'm like, God, you are my strength, and I'm playing You Are My Strength, and
Yeah.
just asking God to get me through the most simple things.
Yep.
I think that now you can forget to pray, but also you have to pray about everything. Am I going to look over every 30 seconds to see if my baby is still breathing in the bassinet? Or am I going to say, with long life, will you satisfy my son? I'm going to sleep.
Yes.
So I'm praying
Right.
about everything.
Very
Yeah.
good.
I'm praying about which swaddle to use.
Seriously.
I'm praying
Yes.
about the nighttime routine.
Yeah.
I'm praying before the bath that he's going to enjoy this bath and not
Yeah.
act like I'm trying to drown him today. Yeah.
Yeah.
So praying about everything has been the way that I'm getting through.
Yeah. Well, and motherhood is a very sacred space.
Yeah.
It actually, I think it is selfless serving.
Oh yeah.
Right? So when you really think about it and you think about the things God calls us to,
It's worship.
it
Yeah,
is,
it
and it's caring for the least of these, the
Right,
littlest
the
of these,
smallest,
really.
yeah.
But like it's your heart expands, and you're able to kind of enter into a new season of just saying, okay, God, I surrender, but then I also invite you in.
Yeah.
I'm going to invite the Lord into every single moment, right? Those changing the diaper moments at night. Okay, God, I invite you
Yes.
in, and that sounds like silly, maybe even a little bit gross because they always have gross diapers right there in the beginning. They're so weird.
So
The
weird.
weirdest poop.
So weird. It's always different.
I know.
And they say it's not supposed to be, but it is.
No,
Who's
it's like,
lying?
they're lying. We know the truth.
Yeah.
But changing those diapers and stuff is like a whole thing. But I remember moments thinking like, God, like thank you that you've cleansed me as I'm changing a diaper. Thank you, God, that as I do this, like you forgive me, like in our little like fragile state. We're so fragile.
Yeah.
These babies remind us like how fragile life is.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. I'm still in the shower praying.
Yeah.
Because
Gotta
as you
get it
have
in
them
the
over
can.
and over,
Yeah.
that it starts to build,
Yeah.
And yes, there are times where, you're pushed to, okay, I'm gonna wake up at midnight and pray because I need it. There's seasons where you need that. You need a breakthrough,
Yeah.
right? But for the most part, that has changed. That devotional time at a certain, hour.
Yeah.
It's not there.
It's not.
That hour's not there, And so it's saying, God, I invite you in, and I let the Bible speak to me,
Yeah.
right? Like, have you done that before?
Yeah.
It'll play
On
for
the Bible
you?
app.
Yeah, and so I kind of do that a little bit too. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of people feel like maybe they dropped the ball, or
Yeah.
maybe they're not doing it right.
Yeah, you definitely have to have grace for
Oh, yeah.
yourself. And especially when it comes to one thing that Yuli said too, that I think is so real. It's like, oh my God, I was a mom today. Was I a wife today? That can, especially in the beginning, that can be so hard. I remember this moment where probably like a week after the baby was born, where there was a quiet time. And then, I went and sat next to Jamel, and I like put my head on his shoulder, and I was like, oh my God, that's the only amount of affection that like I have given this man in a long time.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But it's also just learning to communicate. I think that communication like has had to become even, stronger during
Yeah.
the season. It's like you had a certain level of communication for dating, there's a certain level you need for marriage, and then there's another level you need for parenthood. And learning to communicate that like, hey, I am just really touched out. I'm not trying to be absent right now, but this is just what I'm going through. And so that, he can understand what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Or even saying like, I am not going to try to cook for a while. Like, I'm not going to try to cook for at least another month.
Yeah.
I'm just putting it out there, you know? Let's figure it out. Let's
Right.
let's do takeout. Let's do whatever we can.
A meal
Yeah.
service or something.
Yeah, and communicating with that, and then
Yeah.
taking the pressure off, so that we can. It's about communicating to your spouse like what you need, and then also
Yeah.
communicating where you are,
Yeah.
so that they're not, taking that load on.
I love that. I think that I totally resonate with that. I feel like in my marriage, Hong and I have been together all in all 11 years, married for 6, I think. I can't remember. But yeah, about 6 years. And I think that, a lot of people talk about the way babies and kids are going to affect your marriage in a negative way. But I really saw it the opposite way. I saw it just as new challenges, and I saw it as an opportunity to just strengthen those areas that maybe we were lacking before.
Yeah.
And I really want to say, I want to encourage, like if you're a new mom and you feel like maybe your marriage is suffering because you had a baby, I just want to really encourage, those women to really look at those challenges as new opportunities. And it's just also an opportunity to look at yourself and say, maybe I have to work in this area. Even with the baby, I know it's hard, but it's definitely made us stronger in a lot of ways because we just really had to just intentionally put in that extra work,
Yeah.
have that extra communication. So
Yeah.
personally, I loved what having a baby did to my marriage.
Yeah. It transforms it.
Yeah.
It changes it. It's your focus is a little bit different.
Yeah.
You still and that's why the priority matters, right? So it's not that at this moment children take up more of my time, more of my touch, more of my think of all of the love languages. Children just acts of service. Are you kidding me? Like they take up every love language you could ever offer, right? So it changes that season of how it's given and how it's received, but that's why that priority of saying, but our marriage comes first.
Yes.
I believe the best gift anyone can give their kids is a healthy marriage.
Yes.
And to be able to see mom and dad working together and kind of growing in that new season together. I remember, having Nora and having all my kids and going, oh, I just can't believe I married someone who's such a great dad.
Yeah.
Like my respect for him only grew, but we've had to cut out intentional time to, be married only, to be only married, together and have those quiet moments together. And so, I think you've got to navigate like filling your time differently together. Like what you do has to be intentional,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Even the intentionality of me and Jamal had to say, like, okay, we're both so obsessed with this little person. So when I walk in the room, we have to greet each other first. Like we made that new rule, like no kissing the baby and then not kissing me. No, like, hey, Langston. All right, did you do this? Like, no, greet me, kiss me.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm leaving, tell me that you love me. Like, we need to do that first because we're just so excited. We're 5. He's 5 weeks old, so it's gonna happen. But we need to make sure that we're putting each other first. And then even if it's like, oh, you're my favorite guy, I'm like, well, after your dad. I have to put that in there because it's so easy to just put all your love and affection towards this little person and then forget the source that came from.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, where would you guys say, as you've been on this new journey of motherhood, there's a big aspect of body changing too, and kind of walking through a new season physically, where you're healing and where things are just different, right? And that can take a hit on confidence, or it can take a hit on mobility, even like regular functioning of your whole life, And so we're getting into the nitty gritty.
Let's get into
I
it.
kind of like it, but what's some encouragement or kind of where you are, how that's been for you and your new body,
I have always been a little bit on the heavier side, which I loved about myself. I'm pretty confident. I've always been kind of confident on that.
I like
It's okay. But, after having the baby, the stretch marks kicked in. Where was that? The cellulite kicked in. It was just like this huge turnaround and change. And I was like, I'm not used to this. And, like even being like a heavier girl, before the pregnancy, I was always super active. You know, I went to the gym. I was at a healthy weight, you know, and I was living, you know, semi-healthy lifestyle. So now like I go back to the gym and I'm like, I can't even do 5 push-ups. What is happening to my body?
Yes.
And it's just like I get back in that space of, did I do enough like for myself today? And it's like I didn't even have the chance to like eat right today. And it's just, but I'm like, grace.
Grace.
Yes.
Give yourself grace, girl, because the fact that you got up from your couch at 7:30 at night to go to the gym, because you know that's when your husband can watch the
Wow.
baby for a while.
You go, girl.
That took a lot.
You got
For
there.
me. I got there.
Yeah.
You know, and I got there. I did 5 push-ups and I left, but I did 5 push-ups.
Yes.
Right? So it's hard, but you know, we're working on it, and
That's
I'm
good.
working on just loving myself where I am.
Yeah.
Every step of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's definitely been a challenge for me as I've always been an athlete. You know, I even
Yeah.
played volleyball up until I think I was
Oh
about
my
18
gosh.
weeks.
Yeah, she was pregnant
Girl.
playing ball.
Yeah, I was still playing, which was a whole, my husband was not happy about that. So I could have played longer, but I quit for him. And so I've always been able to do what I want to do with my body. And so that has been, feeling weak has been weird. You know,
Yeah.
even I tried to like move the table like with my leg, and it was like, oh, I need to rehab that movement. I can't do that movement right now.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like I said earlier, I have so much more respect for my body. And so even though I don't have the confidence that I did, it also checked me.
Yeah.
You know, I realized I was like, how much pride did I have in feeling like I look great in a crop top? You know, how much of my confidence came from that? Like, is that where my
That's great,
confidence
yeah.
should be coming from anyway? And so kind of reframing my mind about that, but still taking care of myself. Like, you know, I do want to be a fit person, and I'm committed to that, and I'm going to go on this journey. I'm starting at square one and starting over, but that's okay. And so just having grace for myself. But I'll officially be able to work out next week. You know, that
Let's
6 week where I can get cleared, and I'm going to start small. I'm going to start doing a little Pilates.
Right.
And I'm just going to just treat, it's rehab. We went through something
Oh, yeah.
major. Our bodies did
Trauma.
like this
Yeah.
huge
Yeah.
thing, this
Yeah.
huge thing. And so I need to have grace with myself. And so it's a journey, but I think it's not all bad. You know, it's like, I'm a woman, you know?
Right.
Like,
Look what your
Yeah.
body did.
yeah.
And what it's still doing.
Yeah, and
Right.
so I don't look like a little girl anymore, but that's because I'm a woman, and that's okay. So
Yes.
it's about having the grace, but for me, it's grace meets. I like to push myself, so it's grace meets the challenge of like, how fit can I be again? You know, it may look different,
Yeah.
but how can I become active again? So I'm looking forward to going on that journey.
Yeah. And I like what you said about how, you know, you kind of come back stronger.
Yeah.
It is true. It's different. Your body is forever different. But when you really think about what your body has just done,
Mm-hmm.
you grew a human with your body.
person.
You delivered a human through your body. Now you sustain that human through your body.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna be lifting that little baby for a long, long time. And so of course, like it's like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of my body, but it's strengthening you and it's growing you, right? And I think for me in these seasons of and it really has been an off and on, like I'm pregnant, I'm nursing, I'm pregnant, I'm nursing, I'm pregnant, I'm nursing.
Oh my God.
I'm pregnant.
Right.
That's my season.
That's where you're at.
The last 6 years, 7 really, right? And so your body is just constantly in a motion, you know, and it's changing. And for me, I was like, you know what? It's not about getting a result. The result isn't the thing for me. The thing for me is that I did it.
Yeah.
I did something, right? So
good.
literally, I will, and this is not a lie, I will go to the gym with a coffee in my
I
hand.
have seen footage.
And I will walk on the treadmill and I will leave after.
Yeah.
Because I went to the gym today, you know, and like
that's so
I just make it about those little things of joy, you know, like and when I was younger, it was about like killing myself, you know, and then you're so worn out, you're so tired, you can't keep going. And I've decided I'm not gonna live that way. I'm gonna live in such a way where I can go to the next day and the next day and the next day and just build, you know, build back up. And
And what it does to your mental health, I think,
yeah,
is a big thing we don't talk about.
Yeah.
For me personally, I actually got preeclampsia
Oh, wow.
6 days after I gave birth.
Oh, wow.
And so usually that happens during the birth.
Right.
And they can see it. For me, it happened 6 days after the birth. So, my husband's in school and I was actually home alone with the baby. And all of a sudden I got this like crazy migraine that just wouldn't go away.
Wow.
And God told me like, something just told me, check your blood pressure.
Wow.
So I checked my blood pressure. It was through the roof. It was so high that when I got to the emergency room, they didn't even take my information. They just kind of hooked me on IVs
Wow.
right away. And turns out they're like, we just had to get you on IVs right away, when everything was kind of like back to normal a little bit. They're like, you were really close to having a seizure. That would have been really bad. And, being away from my baby for 3 days, I was hospitalized for 3 days, did something to my mental health because of the medication they had to give me for the blood pressure. I wasn't able to breastfeed her the way I wanted to. And that just took a complete toll on me.
I bet.
And it was just something I didn't realize was going to happen until it happened to me. Because I was never a person to, I never really struggled with mental health until now. Like, on top of the big change, it was just a traumatic thing that we go through.
Yeah. And it's normal.
Yeah.
Like it happens to a lot of people, and that's why it's so important to talk about, because you think like, oh, well, it's people don't do this.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen. This isn't really real. Yeah, those are severe cases, right, of mental health and postpartum depression, but it can surface in different ways for different people.
Yes.
Like I remember after one of my kids being like 6 weeks, 7 weeks postpartum, and I just couldn't smile. Like I like couldn't. There was no joy. You know what I mean? Like I felt empty on the inside.
That's so
And I was like, but I love my family. I love my child. I know that this isn't me, but it messes with you. You think that something's wrong with me. You think that something's wrong. Like, I don't know, you feel bad.
Yeah.
You feel guilt. And I remember that happening and thinking, I need help. Something needs to shift here.
Yeah.
And that's why having other resources and people in your life are really important.
Yeah.
For a friend, I messaged a friend, and a friend was like, you've got to get a vitamin, like a postnatal, and you gotta talk to your doctor.
Wow.
And I went that day, I got the postnatal, and I had an appointment for my doctor the next week. And by the time after, like, I had started on all of that, I was like, oh my gosh, I do feel better. I do feel like myself. Things weren't right.
Yeah.
And so I think talking about it is so powerful and important. And then letting people into the journey with you.
Yeah.
I want to just celebrate both of you, because both of you have done an incredible job of transitioning to become a mom, and to be able to see it through with you on the outside. I know I'm not there, but I remember when Kindra was like in labor, I was like, if you want to just text me anything, like just text me. Like, I love to be a part of everything. Like, she sent me the video. I was like, I love this. Like, I love being a part of it. But I'm so proud of both of you for transitioning so well to becoming incredible moms. And I think that the best is yet to come for you and Langston, and for Layla and Yuli. And I love you both. And we're so grateful that you joined us. I think we're all out of time, but we could just probably do a part 2 where we just really gush on all of the things. You want to finish?
Before we go, I just want to say that it's also joyful. We talked about the hard things, but it is
So joyful.
the best thing I could have ever done. If you're on this journey, you hear the horror stories, and that's because we need to talk about it. But it is the most beautiful thing in the world.
Highly recommend.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
10. Well, thanks for joining us. We love you. If you like this, or if it spoke to you, subscribe, share, let someone know about it. We'll see you soon. Thanks, girls.
Thanks.